Hi there, it's Clay. I want to talk a little bit today about the format for the Project 3 drafts and to talk a little bit about Project 4, which really just is going to connect with Project 3 and represent your findings. First of all, um, so I've got up here the schedule for the course. We're finishing week 9 right now, and um, we're about to head into spring break, so there's no class next week, which means that week 10 for the purpose of our semester will begin the week after spring break. So nothing's going to be due next week. You don't have to do any discussions or anything like that. As I've said in previous lectures, though, or in previous announcements, you should plan to use that time if you need to continue working on collecting the data, doing the interviews, wherever you're at. So what I want to look at right now here is the Project 3 assignment description, and I'm just going to scroll down to the prompt. And as I've been telling everybody in their discussion post, make sure in your research plans that you're collecting three different texts, three different genres from your discourse community. And what you want to do with those is you want to analyze them, ask questions about them in your interview, gather as much information as you can about how these texts are used in the discourse community, how they're organized, how they're formatted, how they connect to different audiences, how they fulfill purposes within that community. You'll want to go back to that Bowarshi reading where he gives us some guidelines for breaking down um, genres, and you want to use that to sort of think through how the genre is working. Now, when you do the report on the genre, I want you to actually go back to our first reading, go back to Beaufort, and use her five knowledge domains: genre knowledge, rhetorical knowledge, subject matter knowledge, writing process knowledge, and discourse community knowledge to organize your text. So I want you to talk about how the genres um, that you've collected and analyzed and talked about with your respondent, how they connect to these five different domains in the discourse community. So, to organize your paper, the prompt says use these headings: rhetorical and other textual features, function, production, subject matter knowledge, and discourse community attitudes and values. So, when I say organize your paper, what I'm really talking about is the section here where you're analyzing the written genres. I would like you to make connections to weave this into the parts that you already written, specifically the literature review and the research proposal. And in this section for the genre analysis, what I want you to do is um, organize this new section using these headings and talk about how the genre um, is functions in these different ways. And I've got a sample in the Project 3 channel for you to look at, and I'm going to post some more detailed conversations about that sample in future conversations. And I'll probably do something similar as I did to Project 2, where I just took out excerpts and posted them with a brief explanation in the project channel. And then I'll have a video lecture 2 for you once you start really get to the point where you're drafting the project. Again, as I say at the end of the prompt here, to develop your explanation, use the guidelines for analyzing genres and Bowarshi's replacing invention and composition. Um, use that in his example too will help you think through analyzing the genres. And we had those conversations in your working groups a couple weeks ago. The minimum requirements, I'm saying 3 to 4 double spaced pages for this is for the genre analysis, plus the literature review and the research proposal revisions for a total of 10 to 12 pages. Again, as I've said to lots of you, the literature review and the research proposal, those should be revised, and you should be revising them so that they fit, they connect to, and they support your genre analysis. Again, list the headings for your paper and the minimum requirements. And the drafts are due the week after we come back. From I think it's the 24th, but they're due the week after we come back from spring break in week 10. In week 10, I just want to take a moment to say that I'm going to be inviting you to schedule conferences with me. Some of you I know can't make it in to the university. Some of you can. For those who can make it in and would like to talk with me one on one, I'll have conferences all week. For those of you who can't come in and meet with me in the office, what we'll do is we'll set up Skype conversations or something else that sort of that we can is mutually agreeable and works with whatever the limitations are for you and for me at that time. So I'll post an announcement about that shortly after this video. All right, I want to talk about Project 4, and I'm not going to read through the assignment description, but it's here on the screen. And I just want to look at a few things here. So basically, for Project 4, you need to start thinking about this because your Project 4 is going to be a representation, a shorter multimedia representation of your findings from Project 3. And so you can do an Ignite presentation for Project 4. You can do a blog, a Prezi, a website, create infographics or create a brochure, do a wiki. I'm really opened up the scope because of it's an online classroom. Not everyone feels comfortable or has the technology to do a presentation to record themselves. I encourage you to do an Ignite presentation, and I'll talk about that more in a couple weeks when we get closer to the project. But you can take a look at that, and you just need to start to think about that once you finish this project. Basically, what you're going to be doing is taking your findings, and what I want you to do is think for this Project 4, think of a different audience. Your audience for Project 4 should be like other students who might be interested in this discourse community. And I want you to present like what you've learned about writing expertise or writing in general for other up and coming pharmacists or nurses or whatever the community is. How can you help them to learn about the role played by writing in the 21st century for this discourse community? So again, Ignite presentation, a lot of people will do that, but there's a lot of other multimedia options for this project. So take a look at that description, especially once you start drafting Project 3, just to sort of, you might be good to sort of keep that in the back of your mind about what the next steps will be. So anyway, that's it for today for this talk. And look in Slack. If you go into Project 3, there's three samples, two sample genre analysis, and one's a much longer genre analysis. The first two use a different organization scheme, but they're good examples of analyzing a genre. And when you analyze these genres, just as we talked about with the Bowarchi reading, we want to make sure we're not just thinking about formatting or organization, but we're also thinking about how the genres fit to the rhetorical situation, how the genres fit with the purposes for the discourse community. So let me know if you have questions, and look out for that call for one-on-one conferences after the break. Otherwise, enjoy your time off, and I'll talk to you soon.